Hi, everybody. So, welcome to the second Between the Lines online book festival. After the success of last year's one, we decided that we're going to do it again. So here we go. So, we have got Wendy H. Jones and Pammy Bale, and they're doing Creating Imaginary Worlds for Kids. So, we're sitting with Wendy H. Jones, who's the author of the Venus and Flora Mysteries, which are getting reissued soon with a new publisher, and children's picture book Bertie the Buffalo that we're going to be talking about today. And we've also got Pamela St. Abs, who writes the Inspector Campbell mysteries, who's an Edinburgh man working in Norfolk. And as Mary Bale, she writes the 11th century mysteries. And as Pammy Bale, she writes and illustrates a children's picture book called Hexy the Bunny. And so she also does workshops with children as well. So, welcome Wendy, welcome Pammy. So I'm just going to let them take over now. So have a good one, guys.
Well, Pammy, I have to say it's an absolute pleasure to be here with you today. And I've read your book and I loved it. The rabbits are fabulous and I love the illustrations. I think you're going to be reading from it, aren't you? Did you want to read first or did you want to have a chat first?
Oh, thank you, Wendy. I think it'd be a good start if we both read our stories at the beginning, and then we'll have some information for people to think about, won't we? So, yeah, that's super. I must say, Bertie is great fun. Bertie is great fun. So, we'll start. So, I'll start off with Hesty Bunny, Hesty Bunny's new home, and we'll start now. Hesty Bunny's home's too small, with Hermes Bunny, babes and all. A bigger home's what we need, but not just here, it is agreed. One summer morning off she hurries. At first she tries the local quarries. The sand is soft and she starts to dig a hole that will be very big. A digger starts with a rumbling sound and frightens Hesty Bunny from her mound. As she flees, she stops and sees, in the distance, woodland trees. I can't climb trees, says Hesty Bunny. I don't think this is very funny. So Hesty Bunny finds a field so gold and fine, where the corn's been cut by combine. Oh, I've missed a page. Excuse me.
I'm glad it's not just me, Pammy.
I missed a page. I thought, where's that squirrel gone? She was hiding in the trees. Mrs. Squirrel from her hole she pops, as Hesty Bunny to the trees she hops. If it is here you wish to dig, you'll find the roots too thick. You can live up here with me if you can learn to climb a tree. I can't climb trees, says Hesty Bunny, and I don't think this is very funny. So Hesty Bunny finds a field so gold and fine, where the corn's been cut by combine. I'll check my pages this time. Hesty Bunny starts to burrow, then a tractor ploughs the furrow. Up she jumps in alarm and runs away before it does her harm. To a cottage garden she hops along, where the flowers grow tall and strong. At a flower bed she digs the ground, till there is a frightening sound. A big black dog suddenly appears, barking loudly Hesty Bunny hears. So Hesty Bunny turns and off she races, but the big black dog still he chases. Hesty Bunny escapes where the fence is broken. The big black dog stops, but Hesty Bunny is shaken. She runs and runs until she flops, and by a lake she finally drops. When Mrs. Coot swims up and cries, "Can I help you?" Hesty replies, "Mrs. Coot, you are so kind. It is a peaceful home I wish to find." It is quiet here and no mistake. The water is used as a fishing lake. The sandy banks are soft for burrows. Then Mrs. Coot swims away, her brood follows. There's Hesty digging her new home. Hesty Bunny her home she makes with care, then Hermes Bunny and babes she takes back there. They decide their new home to keep as they snuggle down to peaceful sleep. The end.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm so glad that Hesty Bunny found a new home after all those travails, as they say. You know, she had all those problems finding a new home, but she found one in the end.
Yes, I think that's important.
Yeah, I love the combine, you know. Hey, that must have been frightening for a poor bunny, the different sizes.
Yes. And the vibrations they make, on the ground, is the bunny would feel them in her paws.
Absolutely, yeah. It must have been a bit of a difficulty. Now, I'm going to move little Bertie the buffalo out the way here so I can read from the book, because otherwise he'll topple off. He's very precarious, is Bertie, sitting there. I mean, I've got some questions for you. Are you happy for me to ask them after I've read mine, or do you want me to ask them some now? Or
no, I will. We'll have a chat afterwards, yeah. And then I was thinking that if there are any children listening, they would be able to get two lovely stories, and they might not want to stay for the questions.
That's true. Yes, we'll do the stories. Well, I'm very fortunate in that I've got a Bertie the Buffalo book and a colouring book, which looks exactly the same. I have to say, the only difference is it says colouring book at the bottom. So I always have to remember to take the right one with me when I'm reading. But I've read it so many times I can remember it all anyway, which is a good thing. So this is Bertie the Buffalo. Now, I'm going to tell you before we start, because this is important. Bertie the Buffalo is based on the true story of a baby water buffalo that ran away from a farm in Fife. And so he really is Scotland's very own wee escape artist, Bertie the Buffalo. So I'm going to read the story now that I've moved everything out the way that could fall over if it gets in the way. So this is the opening of Bertie the Buffalo. So Bertie the Buffalo was really, really wee. He galloped round his paddock, giddy with glee. Bertie was the smallest of the animals on the farm. He didn't even reach to the farmer's arm. There were great big older buffalo with great big horns and tiny baby buffalo who had just been born. Mr. and Mrs. Emu who laid ginormous eggs, and tiny little emus with long necks and legs. Bertie played at racing. He was the fastest baby there, apart from Emma the emu, who could outrun a bear. Jumping was his favourite over dry stained dikes, with Grandma Buffalo shouting, "Come back, you little tyke!" But Bertie's very favourite game, the one he liked the best, was running off and hiding, away from all the rest. If his friends would let him, he would play it all the week. His very, very favourite game, one of hide and seek. But when you are a buffalo, it's really hard to hide. There's always tail or hoof or horn poking right outside. Mulberry trees are great for this, especially in the middle, when Bertie pushed inside them with an extra special wiggle. I hope all the children are wiggling. Hezzy, Jack and Seven were Bertie's buffalo friends. They shouted and they shouted, the game's at an end. Emma Emu and her friends looked high and they looked low, but no one could work out where was Bertie the buffalo. Was wee Bertie hiding in the old oak tree? No, 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 said Bertie. No, not me. Everyone joined in the search, but no matter where they roamed, no one could find him, so they wandered off back home. Bertie was only little in that great big place, with huge ginormous buffalo who didn't see his face. He felt no one ever noticed him or saw where he had gone. He didn't feel he had a place, but wanted to belong. Oh, poor wee Bertie. Away far in the distance, there's adventure to be had, but Bertie knew that running off was very, very bad. Still, Bertie longed and longed to be the biggest of them all. Inlands he could see stretching out beyond the farthest wall. A little blue butterfly landed on his ear. It told him that he was safe whenever she was near. As he listened to the words, he leaned against the gate. It opened, Bertie tumbled down the hill at quite a rate. Now, what should Bertie have done then? He should have gone back home, but no, he didn't. He stood right up and looked around. No one was in sight. So Bertie ran and ran and ran. He ran with all his might. Billy B said, buzz right off, keep on running past. So Bertie kept on running really, really fast. The bluebells strewn across the field carpeted his hooves. A fox dressed in his smart red coat made a startled move. He asked, where did you come from? Blowing in on a blast. But Bertie kept on running very, very fast. A creature stepped in front of him. It looked just like a sheep. Bertie screeched right to a halt at the creature's feet. Who are you and what are you? I haven't got a clue. I'm Ari the alpaca on holiday from Peru. Bertie ran into the trees, a dark and scary place. Spiders' webs brushed on his hair like tiny scraps of lace. But Bertie trotted deep inside, trying to be brave. He stepped inside a hollow that acted like a cave. The moon and the sky swapped high fives. The man in the moon took his place, twinkling way up high. I'll start that one again. The sun and moon swapped high fives, passing in the sky. The man in the moon took his place, twinkling way up high. Bertie's nice new butterfly friend landed on his ear. Sleep tight, I'm here to keep you safe. There's no one you need fear. Safe in the cave, Bertie played a rather funny game. But baby buffalo need their sleep, even if they're tame. His eyelids closed, open wide, then they closed once more. Then the strangest sound was heard, the loudest buffalo snores. A roaring beast woke Bertie up. He jumped out of his bed. His long hair whipped around his face as he shook his head. Brave wee Bertie peeked outside and trotted to explore. This was a great adventure, but Bertie wasn't sure. Bertie saw wild creatures going really, really fast, faster than Emma Emu, who never came in last. There were cars and vans and lorries, a caravan and jeep. One yellow car beeped its horn with the loudest beep, beep, beep. Bertie picked up his hooves and ran really, really fast. He bolted back inside the woods, past the radio mast. Then he heard Hezzy call, Bertie, where are you? But Bertie couldn't tell him. He didn't have a clue. Bertie backed into the wood. He found a little pond. Now, water buffaloes Bertie was are really rather fond of water cool and dark and deep and really, really wide. A really, really perfect place for a buffalo to hide. This was Bertie's special place, he knew without a doubt, especially when he found himself being tickled by a trout. He climbed back out and cleaned himself by rubbing on a log. An animal ran up and barked. It was a great big dog. Woof, woof. Bertie ran out from the woods and heard the strangest sound, belonging to a helicopter flying round and round. There were men with great big cameras, hoping they would see tiny Bertie Buffalo right there behind a tree. Bertie picked up his hooves and ran really, really fast until he left the helicopter safely in the past. He curled up in a hut that was painted nice bright red. The farmer's special goggles couldn't look inside this shed. The moon and the sun swapped themselves high-fiving in the sky. I need a place where I'll be safe, said Bertie with a sigh. A great big herd of Highland cow let wee Bertie stay. You're a very funny cow, but you're welcome anyway. A bright red aeroplane buzzed round way up in the sky. The cows all cuddled closer with the loudest Highland sigh. Bertie in the middle was hidden quite from sight. The woman in the aeroplane peered from her great height. She didn't see wee Bertie, so flew the plane away, back to the farm from where she came in her aeroplane runway. I didn't find young Bertie, I feel really, really bad. The farmer missed wee Bertie, he was really, really sad. Bertie missed his friends, this was no longer funny. Bertie missed the farm and had the saddest feeling in his tummy. Had anyone even noticed he'd gone off to roam? The little blue butterfly whispered, you should follow me home. Bertie picked up his hooves and ran really, really fast. Bertie felt excited. He was going home at last. Bertie felt, we all missed you, Bertie, said a great big sign. The animals waited to welcome him in a really long line. Emma, Jack and Hezzy hugged him nice and tight. The welcome home party lasted through the night. Bertie knew he wasn't small. He was a great big part of a very special family with a great big heart.
Well done. That was lovely. Thank you. Enjoyed that.
I always really like reading it. I have to say, Bertie, even if you're my age, Bertie's great. He's fallen on the floor, so I'm going to pick him up. He's still trying to escape. He definitely is a wee escape artist.
Yes. I like the way it really raced along, didn't it? And Bertie had lots of adventures on the way, so he got his adventure at the end, didn't he? But realised that they have a kind of downside.
Yes.
The pictures are lovely and bright as well. I see you've got a Barry Diaper. Is it Deeper? Is that his name?
Diaper, which is a great name for a children's publisher. A children's artist, because it's amazing. A Diaper, you couldn't get a better name if you tried. And I have to say the publisher found him. And although he's not from Dundee, he used to work for DC Thomson, which is the people that do the comics, the Dandy, the Beano, etc. He worked for them. So there is a connection. And from the story, he did a cracking job with the illustrations. Really, I could not have asked for a better illustrator.
They're very lively, very lively.
Yours.
Yes, very lively, full of character.
Yeah. He did great. He's a brilliant illustrator. Can't complain.
And the other thing I really liked was that rather like Hesty, he's being a natural buffalo. He's not dressed in clothes and things like that. He's being a buffalo, whereas as Hesty's being a bunny. And not being particularly humanized, even though we can draw parallels with our own human things that we do, like be frightened and way and move house, things like that.
Yes, absolutely.
They're still essentially bunnies, and your buffalo Bertie is still definitely a buffalo.
Yeah. Although I have to warn you before you get the next one, which is called Bertie Goes to the Worldwide Games. He's in a kilt, and so are all the animals, because they're representing Scotland at the Worldwide Games.
I see.
So a little bit tartan in the next one, but that's for a specific reason. You know,
it's difficult to maintain because there's only so many things that an animal would do on its own volition, isn't there? Like move house or escape.
I have to say that because Bertie is an escape artist, you could keep it up for an entire series because he can do whatever he likes because he runs away. Although the first one was based on a true story, and some of what's in the book is true. He did fall down a small slope and got scared and bolted when he was about to be weighed in real life. So that was based on real life. They were out looking for him with airplanes. The air patrol got involved. So that was correct. They did take his friends out in the hope that he would reappear to them. But that didn't pan out either. He just came home of his own accord. So, some of it was real, but a lot of it was just my brain. So, I was fortunate in the story kind of wrote
That's
it
what
itself.
writers do, isn't it? That's what
Yeah.
writers do. We work on small things and think around them. Yeah, that's very good. So you were talking about your future book. Is that out soon?
It's out very soon, yes. It would have been out earlier, but COVID has delayed everything for everybody. You know, it's been a strange year. So, but it was fun to write as well, and it was fun to work with the publishers and the illustrator. And I've seen the illustrations, and they're amazing. They're just as good, even if they do have kilts on. Oh, they look great. I wanted the kilts. You don't blame the illustrator for the kilts. I put them in kilts.
Is that the same
you know,
illustrator?
It's the same illustrator, yeah. And Bertie is in my tartan, my clan tartan, which is ancient McClam. So when I go to abroad with Bertie to America and do book signings, I have my clan tartan sash on my plate, and he will have the same kilt on when I go. It'll be the same tartan. Although I do have a buffalo with a kilt on. He's already got a kilt, but it's not out of my tartan. It was just out of some tartan that my friend had at home and made one.
Oh, that was nice of her.
Yeah. So he was in a kilt when he went to America last year.
Very good.
Who illustrated your books?
Well, I did my own illustrations.
Wow.
I did them to... it was part and parcel of the same thing. When I first started writing, it was kind of a development from drawing, because I found I was writing on my pictures. So I thought, and then I ended up writing, detective fiction, and then in the middle of all that process, I was still doing drawings for children. And so Hesty Bunny, the drawings and the original story were written some time ago, when my own children were quite small. And then I decided that the story wasn't quite how I'd like it after I'd read dozens and dozens of rhyming tales to my own children. I thought it's got to be in rhyme. So I then developed the rhyming style to it, and developed the story in that way. And put the two together. So that's about. So so many years later, it took its final form.
Well, I'm very impressed, because I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. I know they say everybody can draw, and I will draw for my own pleasure. It will never end up in a book. Trust me. People might buy it because it was the worst illustrations ever, but that would be about the only reason. And I'm so glad that I could work with an illustrator. So I really am in awe, because the illustrations are perfect. They're amazing. They really are. And the colors and everything are just perfect, because they reflect the countryside and what's happening, you know.
The people often ask what I've used, and I do sometimes do little workshops with children, showing them how the pictures are put together. And basically, it's blending crayons. So it's exactly what children do when they do a picture. It's just, they're almost like children's crayons, and you can use children's crayons, in fact, to create the same effects. So yeah, I quite enjoy doing that, and the children enjoy doing that as well, understanding that you can blend different colours to get different effects, even with crayon. So I don't know if they go back to school and frighten their teachers. I don't know. As I say, well, you can do a mountain in blue if you want. I think, what?
You can do what you want, really. I've got blended pencils. You know, you'd think I was an artist because I've got the kit. I just, you know, I do adult colouring. So if you can colour, it's still enjoyment, you know. I like very somebody else to have done the lines first. Where did the idea of Hesty Bunny come from? I'm fascinated.
Well, the name Hesty actually came from some bunnies we had. Hesty and Hermes were the two bunnies we had. And so I used their names in the story. And since then, I've been asked by a reader, a 4-year-old reader, what the children are called. So I had a little think, because I hadn't really got as far as thinking of the children's names. And so the baby bunnies are now called Tor, Hum and Bee. For
They're
anyone
called
who's
what? Sorry, I got hum and bee. What was the first one?
Tor, Tor,
Tor.
Tor.
Oh, Tor. Yeah, hum and bee.
As in a big rock.
I think that's great. I think they're great names. You know, kids are brilliant when they ask questions because they go right to the heart of the matter. But I'm going to tell you the best question I've ever had was when I was down in England doing various events for the Bristol Book Festival. And I went to a nursery as part of that and did a reading. And the kids asked questions. Well, of course, they're all under the age of 5 because they're not at school yet. And one of them said, they were all asking about Bertie and well, and one of them said, have you ever been to the airport in your pajamas? And I thought, what do I say here? Because either his mother wants him to go to the airport in his pajamas and he doesn't want to do it. And if I say, no, you shouldn't do that, then, you know, he's going to tell his mother that. Or he wants to go in his pajamas. And I say, oh, I think that's a marvelous idea. And then he goes home and says that author. So in the end, I just said, we all go to the airport in our pajamas because we fall asleep on the plane. That was it.
But very good, very tactful.
I got feedback later on from the nursery. They sent me an email and said, we told the dad's father. And apparently what had happened was the mother's plane was late. About the week before, the mother's plane was late in getting in. She'd been off at a business meeting somewhere. So he literally had to get them out of their beds and put them in the car in their pajamas to go and pick her up from the airport. So that was what it was about. But kids are amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Well, have you got any other tales of children asking you awkward questions?
Well, to be honest, not really, because they ask very insightful questions, actually. You know, the sort of things you get asked when you go with, I've got young adult books as well, which are called Ferguson Flora. And so I go to schools with teenagers, and teenagers, there's always 2 things they ask without fail. Every time you go to a school, how old are you? And I don't know why they need to know that, but that's one. And the other one is, are you as rich as J.K. Rowling?
Oh dear. Yes, I suppose there's always that question, isn't it? I think that sometimes in the back of their mind they're thinking, is it worth me doing writing or whatever, or drawing? And I suppose the answer to that one is you'll do it anyway, whatever I say, if you really want to do it. So I think that's the answer to that one. Yeah. They asked that.
Yeah. Have you been asked any strange questions?
No, really, I really haven't. I don't think, except of course, I was really stumped with the children's the bunny names because I hadn't even thought about it. So I actually had to go away and think about it, and it came quite quickly. So obviously, in my mind, they did have their own personalities.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously, and the lovely thing about that is, of course, that stimulated thought about doing another book. I hope it doesn't take quite as long as the last one, but you never know with these things, do you?
No, things take on a life of their own, don't they? You think, I'd have to say, not with Bertie Bertie the Buffalo did have a character I wasn't expecting. And if my publishers are listening, they won't mind because they've heard me say this before. Ari the alpaca wasn't meant to be in it. It wasn't in it originally. And then the publishers said, we want an alpaca in it. And I said, well, there's no alpaca as part of it. You know, the other animals are kind of half real. And they went, no, we want an alpaca. And I said, do you mind if I ask why? They went, yeah, we like alpaca. Okay, fair enough. We'll put an alpaca in it. And to be honest, I love Ari the alpaca. It's one of my favourite, apart from Bertie, of course. Ari the alpaca is one of my favourite characters. So, you know, I would like to do a spin-off series. Sarah and Malcolm from Sarah Grace and Malcolm Down Publishing, if you're listening, I would like to do a spin-off series with Ari the alpaca. Going around the world on holiday.
To be honest, I thought the alpaca was genius, because I thought, well, so often because I go out cycling quite a lot, you know, you often go past a little field of llama and things like that, and they are about in the Scottish countryside. So I thought it was a good colourful character. Yeah, very
Oh
good.
no, it was fabulous. The other question I get asked, not from kids, but is from adults, is why did you use a water buffalo? It's not a very Scottish animal. I said, well, this one was. He was born on a farm in Scotland, so he's Scottish. Bertie, by the way, I will say that Bertie will never end up on people's plates. He's safe from the chopper. Bertie will live as a tourist attraction for the rest of his life. As will his friends, I've been told, as will his friends. So the names of the animals, I mean, I made them up, but two of his friends are actually called Heineken and 007 on the farm for real. And I could use neither Heineken nor 007 in a book for obvious reasons. First of all, you can't use a children's character, the name of a beer. And even Heineken wouldn't let us. And you'd have to pay thousands to use 007. So they were changed to Hezzy and Seven for the sake of the book. So apart from that, I made the names up. And Bertie already had the name. It was the BBC that made that up because he was on the news long before I wrote the book. And they said, Bert the buffalo's missing. Has anyone seen him? So I was stuck with the name Bertie, which is great.
Yes, it's fine, isn't it? And he looks like a Bertie. I mean, you couldn't imagine him being called anything else now.
No, you couldn't actually, although when you go on Amazon and you search the search bar, things like Bertie the bus comes up and Bertie the bulldozer, and there's a lot of Berties. And I mean, in some way, sorry?
It's such a nice, warm, friendly name, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But I'm interested with Hesty the rabbit finds a new home. Was Hesty... Is it meant to be telling kids anything? Is there a moral in it? Is there anything in it that would help teach them and learn for them to learn things?
It's more of how can I say, a little bit like Bertie getting into a little bit of trouble when he sort of goes wandering off. It's about if you like, the dangers of the countryside. So there are things that you can do and can't do, and what have you. And Hesty finds that out on her way round. The initial picture in the book is of Hesty in their old home, and you can see the housing estate has been built nearby.
Oh yes, of course, yeah.
And so their nice tree where they had their holes in the bank is going to be rather busy with people now. So and especially now the family's grown, and there's also other families there as well. So they decide that in fact they're going to move on and look for somewhere else. So that's kind of where it started. And where I used to live, all these things were there. We did live near quarries, and there were bulldozers, and I had small children at the time, so obviously them, and thinking that these things go past our gate and what have you, and all these the woods, etc., are all drawn really from these places. All the scenes I could actually go and show you because they do exist. And that is like the farm that we used to live near, and the woods we used to live near, and even this tree here is quite a distinctive sort of like turkey oak, and that was the lane that I used to take the children for walking, and we'd go over the bridge, and walk down by a little sort of tributary to a river. So yeah, it was, and actually, I haven't drawn it in, but there used to be some really lovely birds on there, and irises and things, which could obviously come again, couldn't they, on something else?
They can come in the next book. Yes, absolutely.
All the things I missed out. So so it's all based on farm area and thing. And I also had at one time before the children came along, a big black dog. So my lovely big black dog, his name was Buddy, got in there.
That was nice. It is nice to be able to bring things like that in, really, because it means something to your family, which people don't know, but it's still a great story and kids would love it, you know. In my Bertie the Buffalo books, I was trying to bring something into it. So when we get to the bit where he's, you know, with the Highland cows, I was trying to, I'll just find the right page. Oh, there they are. When he gets to the bit with Highland cows, he's different, but they're saying that he's welcome. And that was important because I wanted it to be that, you know, you look out for other people, even if they're different. We're all the same. We look out for each other. You know, we might not all look the same, but we are all the same. And we need to welcome people and make them feel at home. And the whole overarching part of the story is that Bertie feels he's too small and that no one loves him really, so he runs away. But he finds out that actually people do love him, and it doesn't matter how small he is, he's not insignificant. You know, he has a part to play and everybody loves him at home. So it was to teach kids that they're important, and, you know, there may be children that don't feel that. Now, I know that there are teachers who are using this, where they're working with children who have poor self-esteem and things, come from backgrounds where they might be, you know, not looked after as well, and they're using the Bertie the Buffalo book and the toy together to help talk about self-esteem, to talk about the fact they are loved and things like that, and just introduce it in a natural way. Now, that I never envisaged. I have to say, I never envisaged that, but I'm glad it's happening. You know, I'm glad that they're getting that out of it.
Yes. Yes, I think you're right. I think it's important to do these things. I think there's a very traditional theme in the Bunny book, because so many children at a young age do move home, and so it helps them understand that. So the process of moving home isn't easy, but you get there in the end and it's okay. It's like you go and find your bedroom or whatever, and it's all just fine. But it is disruptive moving home, definitely. So to children and adults.
I think also in your book, it's important. The other thing you can bring out is that there is a phrase, breed like rabbits. You know, they do tend to have a lot of children, rabbits, so they need a big place to run around in, really. So it does that as well, I think. You know, it teaches them different things that we wouldn't have probably envisaged when we first thought about it. You know, so often a book, when you're writing it, you don't realize the impact it's going to have and what people who, like teachers, can draw out of it.
Oh, you know? Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also the other thing that the books have in common is, of course, the rhyme. Did you initially out doing it in rhyme, or did you write the story and then make the rhymes, or did it just come to you in that way?
Well, what happened was I wrote the story, and then it was with the publishers, and then they went, "Oh, we'd rather like it in rhyme." And I said, "Rhyme? I thought rhyme was out because the translation is difficult to translate." Although it didn't do Dr. Seuss any harm, did it? He seemed to manage. So he's in every country in the world. But anyway, they said, "No, but rhyme is coming back. The parents want rhyme." Fair enough, I'll do it in rhyme. But I then did it in rhyme, but I had a very, very short period to do it in rhyme, which was probably a good job, because if I'd had months to think about it in rhyme, I probably wouldn't have done it as well. So I would never call myself a poet, although it would appear I am from this, but we're talking doggerel for kids here. We're not talking, you know, Makar level here. So I had a very short time to do it in, and I wanted to get the beat right. It was the beat that was important to me. So what I did was I happened to have, because I'd got a load of children's books when I was asked to write this book, and then I got a publisher for it. So I have no children, but I was a children's nurse, so you know, I do know a lot about children. So I went and bought a load of children's books, and the only one that was in rhyme in my house was Julia Donaldson's Gruffalo's child or Gruffalo or something. So I went and got that, and I literally went through her beat and went da-di, 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 da, and just wrote that down, the daddy das. And then I made sure that every single line fitted into that so that I used Julia Donaldson's beat. I didn't use her word, but I used her beat so that I knew it would be the right beat. So that was how I did it in rhyme. But in fact, I actually prefer it in rhyme. I've decided it's easier to write kids' books in rhyme.
Yes, I submitted various rhymes to publishers myself at various times, and they said, "Oh no, they can't be translated." And but then now they've gone back to the idea that it's good for learning to speak, it's good for learning full stop, and it's very good for learning to read. So that, because you're getting these matched sounds, which is part of the learning to read process. So fortunately, the rhyming books have now come back in, and quite a lot to do with, as you say, Julia Donaldson and her like, where they've come from probably a song creating background, and on creating songs, and so they are automatically working in that way.
Well, I know Julia Donaldson's got a song to go with the Gruffalo, and one of the questions I was asked in advance, I have to say, because my American friends are all asleep. If you're on the west coast of Scotland, you're not Scotland, west coast of America, they're still tucked up in their bed because it's the middle of the night for them. So they said, "Oh, well, we won't be able to come, but we'll ask you some questions." And one of them is, are you going to bring a song out? And my answer to that is always, I would love to bring anything out to go with this. But, it's up to the publishers. I've been asked, do you want to bring a T-shirt out? Because I have a T-shirt. And this is just my T-shirt. I went and got it done. And I've been asked, can you bring out T-shirts? But the problem with T-shirts is you need them all in different sizes. And I think the publishers were quite keen to do T-shirts. But then when they realised we'd have to have them for every age group, it kind of went off the boil a bit, because it gets a bit more tricky then, really. I just got this for show, really. And what happened was I was at something in America, at a Christian's Product Expo. I was at a Products Expo, and book shops were coming up and speaking to me, and then they were ordering things from the publisher for the shops, and they all were going, "Oh, we'll have 10 T-shirts," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool your jets, cowboy. There's only one T-shirt. Now it's mine. There are no T-shirts. I just happened to have it beside. I put it on the stall to decorate it because I was dressed in Highland dress, but I put it on the stall just to decorate it a bit because I had it with me, and everybody wanted the T-shirts, but it gets a bit more complex with T-shirts. But yeah, songs I think are a great idea. Having a song is a fabulous idea because, as you say, songs help kids learn. They learn words, we learn better to music. Our brain takes it in better.
Yes, definitely. So, I think your Bertie the Buffaloes are generally available, aren't they?
They are. They're available anywhere.
Everywhere.
Well, I would say they're available in bookshops. They are available in bookshops if your bookshop's open. They may have to order them in. Like any book, I could wander in and ask for a book and they might not have it, but they'll order it in, or the soft toy or whatever. The colouring book and the soft toy are available in any bookshop that in the world. Well, I say in the world. I better not say that. The publishers might start giving me grief. I know it's available in Australia, Canada, America, the United Kingdom. I'm trying to think where else, because obviously it hasn't been translated yet, so it might not be available in non-English speaking countries. However, wherever you are in the world, including the UK, you can get all three of them from me. You can get signed copies of the book from me. I know people who have got signed copies of the book, and they've got the soft toy as well, and the baby isn't even born yet. They're waiting for it to be born. So
well well equipped already.
They're well equipped. Yes, you can get them from me. You can get them through my website, which is wendyhjones.com, or you can email me at wendy@wendyhjones.com. So you can get them really however you want them, you know. And when the new book comes out, it'll be the same. You'll be able to get it in all the same places. I take it you can get your book anywhere.
Well, mine's published through Amazon, but so that's probably the most direct route of getting it, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to pick up online. It's also downloadable. I did it downloadable as well.
Wow.
I don't, for children who are wanting that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean,
Yeah,
parents, the young children often have a tablet these days, don't they? So
they do, yeah, they do. I mean, my book's only available as a paperback, but you can get it on Amazon as well. Amazon, wherever you are in the world, if there's an Amazon store, they will get the book to you. So you can get it in other countries. You just have to do it through whatever Amazon store you're using.
yes, yeah. That's right.
Mm-hmm. So what are you planning your next book to be?
Well, as I say, I was quite inspired by my young friend who asked the names of the babies. So I have actually done a few sketches for one about the babies, really. So a little adventure for them from their new home.
Wow, that sounds good. In their new home. Well, I've got another
from
one.
their new home, you know, they're
that's good.
about their new home.
That sounds fabulous. I've got an idea for a third one, and I did pitch it to the
Ooh.
publishers, and what they said was, will there be any penguins in it? And the answer to that is yes, and that's all I'm going to say about book 3.
Lovely. I love penguins.
I'm a bit of a penguin addict. I love penguins, but it will be Bertie the Buffalo. So Bertie and penguins, hey. Although I have to say that in Dundee, we're big on penguins. We do have penguin statues in Dundee, and they do get dressed up. Somebody dresses the statues in Dundee. We've got... I'm going off piste a bit here, but we do have statues of Desperate Dan from the Beano and the Dandy, and we've got Minnie the Minx and Gnasher the dog, and people dress them up appropriately. So for Christmas Jumper Day, all of those statues, including the penguins, get a Christmas jumper on. For when they're graduating, because it's open opposite the Caird Hall where they graduate, they get graduation caps and a cape on. We don't know who does it, but somebody always does it in the middle of the night. And they're always dressed appropriately. So I think we need a Bertie the Buffalo statue in the middle of Dundee. You know, I think we should say to the publishers, how do we get that to happen? Because he's Dundee's very own escape artist. But anyway, we do have penguins, and the link to penguins is we have the ship, the Discovery here, which is the ship that Scott went to the Antarctic on, Scott of the Antarctic, and it was built in Dundee, so it's here now. So that's why we've got penguins. We like penguins in Dundee. So
yes.
That's the link. If just in case you think we're randomly bringing penguins into the countryside in Dundee.
I do love Dundee, and I loved all the statues in Dundee, and I visited the ship as well, and the V&A. Yeah. It's all fabulous, all absolutely fabulous. And I do recommend Dundee as an outing if you've not been.
Yeah, I love Dundee. Dundee's great, and it's getting better and better every year. Where are you in Scotland?
I'm just outside Edinburgh area, so I've got ready access to loads of places. You know, I can pop across to, you know, when we're allowed. I can pop up to the north, and I can pop out to the west and jump into Edinburgh. But for many months now, I've just been in this area, so which is and out on my bicycle. So looking forward to perhaps going a little bit further afield and revisiting all these lovely places that I've been to in the past.
Absolutely. Come the 26th of April, we'll get a bit more freedom and we'll be able to go and visit them, because Scotland is a fabulous place to set books because they really are amazing. It really is amazing. You know, we've got so much history. We've got so much information and everything. Everything's happened in Scotland, as long as it's not raining. It can get a bit more tricky if it's raining. We have beautiful countryside, we have castles, we have, we have anything you want to do with your characters, even your bunny characters. Your bunny characters could go on holiday, anywhere in Scotland. They could have a little trip out, and they'll find something different. There is so much different going on in Scotland. I know that we have another children's author who did the Haggis. What was his name again? Hamish McHaggis, the Hamish McHaggis stories. And she set hers in different tourist attractions in Scotland, like Glam's Castle. I think that was the Ghost of Glam's, like the Falkirk Wheel, So we just have so much here that it's, we've got everything. So we're really fortunate, to be honest.
We've got lovely countryside and hills and all the rest of it. So and it's all quite stunning, and then there's a lovely floral life and animal life, so it's all teeming at us. It's almost too much to to cope with sometimes. You think, oh well, if you have an idea and you think, where will I go with it, you're almost sort of thrown almost too much, too many ideas, and you think, oh, I shall have to sort this lot out. Decide what I want out of all.
Well, this is it. My head. I want to ask you another question, actually. Again, this is one that I was asked earlier from one of my friends that's abroad. You think she'd know the answer by now, but obviously not. And you've done the same as me. You've gone from mystery to children's books, which seems a dichotomy, really. What made you move from mysteries to children's books?
I think I mentioned earlier that I did do both at the same sort of time, and I am still writing this. I have rather stalled in both departments at the moment. A couple of years ago, I brought out the book 4 of the Campbell Mysteries, but I had left quite a big tale in it that had to be explained or carried on to and I had expected to do that a lot quicker than I have, and I do find it one of these things that you kind of get to a certain stage. I'm very good at writing the first third of the book and then going, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that, and then I can't actually, and I've got to try and tie that all in together to make some kind of proper story that someone can actually tell from one to the other with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah. So you suffer from a saggy middle, as they say.
Well, it's not that I suffer from it. It's just that I difficulty in how can I say, I have almost too many ideas, and I think some people have said that when they've read my books, it's full of ideas, and it probably is because I only write books occasionally. I tend to put all the ideas that I have for the last 5 years into one book, which makes them quite busy books, but it is difficult to plot a complex book, definitely. I don't know if you can see behind me, I have these large pieces of card.
Oh, where do you get them? Because I need some large pieces of cards for something that I'm working on.
Oh, I just get them from the range or Hobbycraft. They do them.
Hobbycraft, of course, yeah.
And these are my plotting cards.
They're your what? Sorry,
my plotting cards.
Oh,
I use to do my plot, and to help sort my brain out. And a lot of people will use yellow stickers for it. I tend to write in different coloured pen all over them, and then decide whether or not it still makes sense.
No, it's great.
I think because I am essentially an artist in my soul, it has to be a kind of visual thing. rather than anything else, pictorial to a
Yeah.
certain extent. I think J.K. Rowling very much drew her characters, didn't she, when she wrote her books and things like
She was
that.
phenomenal. Apparently, for her planning is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Which I suppose you would have to with the arc she's got. Yeah, you would have to plot it. That
7
couldn't be
books,
done
isn't it?
on the
7
hoof. Yeah,
No.
yeah. Do you know what? I think we're coming to an end here.
Sorry?
I think
Sorry,
we're
you
about to
saying?
come to an end. We've only got a couple of minutes
no.
left.
Oh,
Heavens,
no.
that has gone so fast. The thing was, I didn't actually plot my Bertie the Buffalo book. It just happened because I had the story anyway. But I mean, it's been a pleasure chatting to you, Pammy, I have to say. And you can get all your books off Amazon, can't you? Which is fantastic.
Yes.
And I think everybody should buy Hesty the Bunny because it's such a fabulous story.
Thank you, Wendy.
You can literally get my books anywhere, or you can get them from me on Wendy at wendyhjones.com or my website, or you can get them from Amazon. And I think Lindsay's rejoined us, so I need to hand back to Lindsay.
Yes, so I have a question here. What do you guys prefer writing? Do you prefer writing children's books, or do you prefer writing adult, sort of like the proper, like long, like 400-page novels, or do you prefer doing the children's books?
Well, they're so different. They're so different. As Wendy was saying, very different, and require different skills even. So I think they're both enjoyable in their own way. It's and to say for me personally, it doesn't take any less time to make a children's book as a long book, a long written novel, because obviously I'm doing the pictures. So the drawings actually take me quite a long time, because it's a bit like a piece of writing picture. You do it and then you have to fiddle with it to get it how you want it and do it again. And sometimes you're lucky and the first run will go. Other times you have to work quite a lot of work to get the picture how you want it.
I like doing them both. As Pammy says, they're different. You're using different bits of your brain. And a question I get asked a lot, I have to say, is when I'm doing book signings and things, and I've got both sets of books there, which often happens. Because if you go to do a book signing with one thing, they'll chuck your other books next to you just in case anybody wants to buy them. Which is fair enough because people do. But I get asked, does anybody die in Bertie the Buffalo? And I'm like, no. They're not murder mysteries. No. Nobody dies. Nobody gets hurt. Nothing happens. No animals were harmed in the writing of this book because that's a big problem. You can't kill an animal ever in any book.
Yeah, you can't kill animals. You can't kill you can kill children. It is a touchy subject. People do touch on it, and then like people say to the author, "You can't do that. You can't do that," and it is like a taboo subject kind of thing. So we've got a minute. Is there anybody else with any questions, or is there anything else that people want to maybe listen to Wendy and Pammy speak about? I think
It's been an absolute pleasure being here.
Yeah,
yes, I was just about to thank Lindsay.
Speaking, but listening to you guys, it's nice to, get a different range of books to hear authors speak about, because obviously last year was more of a crime oriented, whereas this one is, there's obviously Wendy and Lynn spoke about, doing teen detectives. It's nice to have like a little difference, and hear from different authors, because Scotland is a country of just like a wide range of like literature authors, children's authors, crime authors, romance authors. I was just going to plug the next event. So at between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock, we've got Gail Williams, Penny, and Jackie Baldwin talk in the Murder Most Female panel coming up next. And that should be interesting as well. But thank you so much, Pammy, Hesty Bunny, and Bertie the Buffalo, for your interesting talk. And hopefully, when everything picks up after, like at the end of April, events will be able to take place again, and people will be able to come and meet us like in the flesh. 'Cause, I mean, going to like, I mean, it's great to see authors, but to actually go and like meet Bertie. I mean, Bertie's had a little tour around whole Scotland by now, Wendy.
He's had a tour around Scotland, England, America. He was meant to have another tour around America last year and then this year, but I don't think it's going to happen this year in America.
No. And Pammy is well. Did you ever want to make a Hesty Bunny, or was that just never anything like an opportunity for you?
Yes, I think I'd quite like to make a Hesty Bunny, and unfortunately, it wouldn't be very saleable. So it's quite a lot of rules for children's toys. That's the difference. I think one could perhaps design one and get someone else to make it who did all the rules. I believe that I probably shouldn't say this in children, but they do test these things to destruction.
They do.
So,
They do. Bertie the Buffalo, this soft toy was sent back because of safety issues and was redone again. So you know, it is tested. You can't sell
to be
toy that
safe,
isn't
don't they? No, that's quite right. So that is kind of why they have to be done professionally. Yes, I'd be happy to design one.
Yeah.
Well, my publisher deals with all that, thank heavens, because I wouldn't be able to go down that route, I have to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, before lockdown, I did guiding, and my rainbows had the pleasure of having Pammy and Wendy their meetings a couple of years ago for the World Book Day, and they absolutely loved Hesty and Bertie. They had all of it, doing like and stuff like that. And I popped up on Facebook a few weeks ago, 2 years ago, the pictures that the girls made for you appeared. I was like, oh my gosh, it's just one of those weird things. But thank you so much, ladies, and I'm just going to switch off at the end of the podcast. Yep.